my Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1228 of Toronto Mic'd. Proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Electronic Products Recycling Association. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today, making his Toronto Mike debut, is Michael Traikos. How you doing, Michael?
Hey, thanks for having me on, Mike.
Well, thanks for coming here. Now I got to ask you the question I ask all the Michaels and Mikes who drop by is, why aren't you a Mike Traikos? Why are you a Michael? Give me the reasoning there.
Oh, I don't even know. Maybe my mom, I guess.
Well,
I always thought Michael sounded more like writerly. Like
professional.
I always thought like if I was going to be like a book author or whatever, Michael versus like Mike Traikos. Mike Traikos sounded like not a scholarly.
No.
Whatever it was.
You know, I can see that. Like, whenever I feel I need to be more professional, I think, oh, maybe I should be Michael. Hey, if you're going to crack open a Great Lakes beer, do it right on the mic. So put it right in front of that thing. All right. And then Michael Lager, that's your new name. If you ever go into, like, acting, you could be Michael Lager. Michael Traikos has just cracked open a Great Lakes lager. How is it?
I like it, actually.
Well, don't be so surprised, Michael.
You know what? Yeah. I always say, like, I'm always surprised whenever I try a new beer now. It's always like an adventure.
What is your go-to beer?
Steam Whistle probably right now.
Okay, boo to you. Listen, honestly, this is a family-run local craft brewery, Great Lakes, and you can find them in LCBOs. You can go to greatlakesbeer.com. You should switch your beers to Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Would you consider it?
I would definitely consider it.
Okay, fiercely independent, too. Here, I'm overselling them, but...
cool label.
Yeah, cool. They got what is it? Keegan Matheson was here last, and he said they have a good mix of like the beers, like that lager, and then also the kind of the newer IPAs. Like they kind of have a good balance of everything there. So, okay, so you're a Michael, not a Mike. Were you ever a Mike? Like, was there ever a moment in school where, you thought about being a Mike?
Not really. Like when I know you're asking me how to pronounce my name.
Traikos.
Yeah, and like growing up, I was always going by my surname. So I'm Traikos to everyone. And even like new jobs or people I meet, they always just, I guess they hit on the last name because the first name is just so damn common, right?
Right.
So having a name like Traikos as your last name, it's perfect. And even I'm noticing, like I got a son, 13-year-old, and kids on his baseball team. He's Traikos to everyone. Coach yelling Traikos. But my daughter's never Traikos. So it's definitely, I don't know, gender specific, I guess you want to say.
Well, for you, no Mike required, okay? I was Michael in primary school, and then at some point in high school, I realized I felt like more of a Mike than a Michael, and I just sort of made the switch, and then I've just been Mike ever since. But, no judgment here. Michael, Mike, we're all in the same gang.
There you go.
Any thoughts at all? I'm going to ask you off the top, and then we're going to find out what's going on with you, man. We're going to get to know you better. And, of course, I opened it up to questions, and I got one question more than any other, so we're going to get to that right in a moment. But any thoughts on the cancellation of Tim and Friends? Like, did you ever tune in to Tim and Friends?
Yeah, I would. I like Tim. I like Tim and Sid. And then when it obviously went into Tim and Friends, I was playing like, so Arash Madani, whenever he would go on that show, I always thought he would be the perfect foil for Tim, or just, I thought they just worked perfectly together. And it's funny because like I was like Arash and I played tennis the other day, and I was actually mentioning this to him. And I don't want to like go too deep into what we were saying, but
Well, please give me the transcript. I need to know what's being discussed on the courts. Arash is an FOTM like yourself, friend of Toronto Mike. He's been here. He lives in New Toronto. I think I could throw a stone and hit him. He's really close. But
yeah,
what can you share with us about your convo with Arash?
Well, I'm going to share the fact that this guy is just, I don't know if anyone has played tennis with Arash, but it was my first time out with him. And honestly, I'm a squash player / tennis player and lean heavier to squash. And I just thought, I'm going to go in and just have my way with him.
Right.
I had twisted my ankle like a couple weeks before, and I was like, it's okay. I'm just going to hammer this guy because I don't know. I'm, I guess, a little maybe cocky on that side, but Arash whipped the crap out of me.
Oh, he beat you bad.
Oh my God, he destroyed me. And it wasn't like, I've got a bad ankle or anything. It was from the time we were just rallying.
Wow.
Yeah, hard hitter, hell of a bat. I was telling my brother the same story last night. We were having a little workout session, and he's like, how'd it go with the match? And I was like, he killed me. He's like, and then his first question was, what's good about him? And I was like, honestly, it was everything. His serve, he had one where he almost hit me with it because it spun so much.
Wow.
Aced me 3 times maybe. But just, yeah. So if you ever see Arash covering tennis and you're like, yeah, what's this guy? Does he know anything? Because honestly, he's built like a football player. And oh my God. Yeah.
Okay, look, we're learning a lot about
scary tennis player.
Strong tennis game, but since you were hanging with Arash, it sounds like you're buds with Arash. Why is he not on? Because today, like we're talking right now, as we speak, there's a Blue Jay game like starting right now, like the first game of the season. Why is Arash Madani not part of the Sportsnet telecasts anymore?
Oh, I don't know. He wouldn't go into that. Honestly, he was covering soccer after we were playing, and it's not like he was. He was, if anything, he was sounding excited about doing whatever he was doing that night. So.
He's got a lot of stuff.
I think he's kind of like me, where throw him wherever, and I think Arash will probably be happy. He just eats this stuff up, and I think there's a lot of guys like that.
Utility player.
I don't know. that sounds disparaging.
What about you? Would you describe yourself as a utility player?
I would consider myself the Zach Hyman, I would think, of journalism.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to get into that.
Nothing stands out, but not afraid to do whatever's necessary.
Valuable part of the team.
Yeah.
And you miss him when he's gone. You miss him when he's gone, right?
I think so. I think the Leafs are...
Oh, I meant you, though. Like,
oh.
Because, okay, so I just checked my calendar. Like, it's like, okay, you got a chat at 4 p.m. with Michael Traikos, which I'm very excited about because I'm going to ask you some hard-hitting questions and we're going to get to know you better.
All right.
But then I see the next thing on my calendar is I'm going to a Steve Buffery retirement party.
Beezer.
Yeah. Okay, so my first of all, were you invited?
Yes.
Okay, good, because that would be an awkward moment when I'm invited and you're not. How well, because you were working, most recently you were at Postmedia, which includes the Toronto Sun and the National Post. How well did you know Beezer?
Oh, very well. So when I was at the National Post, we were competitors to a degree because obviously they weren't owned by the same company. But when Postmedia owned it, I probably worked with Bees less than I did like when I was with the Post and he was the Sun, basically because Bees was on hockey for a bit, and that's right around the time when I was covering the Leafs. So definitely crossed paths with him. Hilarious guy. There's a certain, I think, old school journalist that is kind of, well, they are going away, but they're not also being replaced by, and I'm not trying to sound like, hey, I'm the 40-year-old saying, oh, these new generation reporters, they don't do whatever. The simple fact is there's just fewer of them. And I think that's the whole idea is when you went on the road, it was always the same 4 or 5 guys or a rotating cast of players. And now, well, our travel got cut and now I'm not there. And there's many more examples of that. So it's a different feel, but yeah, I pine for the days where when I was starting out and I was the young guy and, Buffery, Paul Hunter, David Schultz. Oh geez, I'm gonna leave out
Kevin
so
McGran,
McGran,
okay.
and
all those guys you mentioned by way of FOTM.
All those guys. Okay. Did I say Paul Hunter?
Yes.
Zorro, Mark Zwolinski, obviously Mike Zeisberger, who is a lot of ways like my big brother on the beat. And like when I had a birthday, this guy would be taking me out. I think I turned 30 on the road. And
Wow.
but when you're a young guy and you're growing and you're coming into the scene when like all those guys are there, and you've got the Damien Cox and the Simmons, and it's not just like nowadays you might see one of them at a time in the Leaf room. Back then it was like not uncommon for 4 or 5 reporters from every outlet to be there.
Do any of those? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is also fascinating to
I'm
me.
probably rambling. So.
No. That's what you're here for.
You direct me.
So when you're, that crew you just talked about, and again, everyone you just mentioned, except Zwolinski, who I realize needs to get his ass on Toronto Mike, just so I can I want to get him on Toronto Mike. So if you're listening, Mark, you got to come on. But all those guys you mentioned are FOTMs, which means they've been over. We've had conversations. Do any of those guys hate each other? Like, are there any awkward moments on the road where a couple of those guys just don't get along?
There's been awkward moments probably on the road, I'm sure, over the years, and I've probably been privy to like maybe a couple of them. But they're always surrounding like alcohol, and then the next day it's water under the bridge. So it's tough. I think probably the biggest fights come from within the same like company. So
really,
yeah, it's almost like 2 guys fighting over the same beat at the Sun or the Star. But the thing is, those guys aren't going on the road a whole lot together because you're generally traveling with your enemy. It's kind of like a traveling band of just kind of like guys out to kill each other during the day. Then at night, they're all having beers together.
But is there ever like that one reporter that nobody invites out for beers? So like the guy's like, we're all going out. Maybe it's you, right? If you, yeah,
I'm sure it's been.
Well, I'm thinking of like a
lot of lonely nights in Detroit.
Like on this show, because I've had James Myrtle on the show, and of course Steve Simmons, who I think I'm going to see tonight. These guys don't like each other. Like there's no love lost between a James Myrtle and a Steve Simmons. Right?
But is that true, or is it just like?
I think it's true.
That just
I've had them both
media?
on. You can tell. I mean, I have face-to-face convos with these guys. I think it's true.
So I've been in a situation where we're on the road for the Stanley Cup final, and it's Greg Wyshynski from ESPN, Puck Daddy.
Right.
And similar to Myrtle, can just get under people's skin, especially at that whole new versus old guard, analytics versus eye test.
Right.
And I remember being in the same bar, and it was kind of like, oh, this asshole's here, blah, blah, blah. But then I've also seen the same kind of thing play out, where a couple hours later, those 2 guys are having a good conversation. And so I think a lot of it is all kind of driven behind the keyboard. And because at the end of the day, we both know, like, everyone is there. It's not like they don't like hockey. They just, I don't know, they consume it differently.
Now, I'm going to drop a couple of names on you who are basically super old school. So it sounds like you're about 40 years old?
Yeah.
Okay, so your entire life, these 2 guys, I think, have been, working for a competing paper. Although now Damien has a different deal with the Star. But Steve Simmons and Damien Cox, like, to me, they're the 2 guys you think back to, like, the 90s. Those are, Steve Simmons was the Sun guy and Cox was the Star guy, the rival papers. I don't think there's any love lost between those 2 gentlemen. I can't see them, having a beer together. Did you ever see them together?
I don't think Simmons even drinks beer.
Okay. Well,
there you go. Maybe have a Dr. Pepper.
He's got a Dr. Pepper.
Diet Dr. Pepper with him. I think that's his drink of choice. Or being in like a Pittsburgh media room and him kind of going gaga because they actually had it in the fridge.
Yeah, that's hard to find, that Diet Dr. Pepper. Wow. But those are I mean, I'm not trying to get to the dish too much dirt. I got a really hard-hitting question coming up next. But we hear about this.
I think that's a lot of the problem is like the guys, it's not like, there's some guys who just don't go out. And I used to be part of that crew. Like coming on the beat earlier on, I was just all business, and then went home, showered, worked out, and went back at it the next day. And there's a lot of people, whether they're early in their career or later in their career, or just they're one drinking out, or just come out for the dinner. So it is kind of a different scene. You do see the same 4 or 5 guys always go out night after night, but let's face it, that's a tough kind of lifestyle.
Oh, for sure.
I consider myself a pro, but then you can see some guys and you're just wondering, like, I don't know, you're sweating alcohol, my friend.
It's tough on your liver, right? To be a sports writer in this city. Okay. Now, so Beezer took a package. So it sounds dirty, but it's not. But so I guess Postmedia, they offered packages and people like a Buffery could get, I don't know, X dollars per year of service if they just kind of go away. So so Beezer. So when I say retirement, it's really like retirement from the Toronto Sun. Beezer might end up doing something else. He's in the Etobicoke Sports Hall of Fame, by the way. But what happened with you? And then I got to address something with you, and then we got to go chronological. But why are you no longer at Toronto Sun and National Postmedia?
Yeah, it's not a secret that Postmedia has laid off a significant portion of their newspaper writers, management and whatever. And yeah, unfortunately, when you're not unionized and you're kind of out in the open, I felt
Cost cutting.
Yeah, it's cost cutting right at the finest there. And I don't want to go too into it because I'm still trying to deal with the severance package and whatnot. But it's kind of unfortunate because you spend 2 decades with the same newspaper, whether it's the Toronto Sun or the National Post, and you love your job and you do a great job, and you're part of the solution in terms of moving things forward with digital and podcasts and video and all that, and you work with a great team of people. But end of the day, I think there's a lot of companies right now, and you see it, whether it's Sportsnet, whether it's ESPN, whether it's Disney, like people are just, it's cost cutting right now. So unfortunately, it's good for Beezer. He spent a lot of time there, and I think he was able to kind of go on his own. And to be honest, that's the way I'm kind of treating this. It's like, to spend 20 years at one place it's an accomplishment, but at the same time, I'm always looking also for a nice new challenge. And there's a couple of things I'm working on. I've got a great new venture that I'm starting out. Podcasts are already kind of dropping today with the Hockeyverse, which is not just another hockey podcast. We are a total resource for hockey players, parents, and fans. So we have a panel of experts, including Matt Nickel, former Leafs trainer, Yuri Bursky, skills coach for Steven Stamkos, and a bunch of NHLers. We've got scouts, we've got agents, and our crux of the show is we take live listener questions from the hockey community, or the Hockeyverse as we call it, and our panel of experts will be answering anything from, is my 13-year-old getting the right advice from his hockey skills coach, to what kind of off-season training should I be doing as a kid who's going from AA to AAA. So really excited about that. And hopefully in the next couple of days, we'll have even more to say, but we're already on Spotify, we're on Apple iTunes, and wherever you can find podcasts.
Okay, firstly, congrats. That's amazing that you got this new venture already kind of kicking off here. And is it, the magic word to search for is Hockeyverse? So that'll get you to this program.
Yeah, the Hockeyverse. So
okay,
we're taking questions too at heyhockeyverse.com.
Well, Postmedia's lost.
Heyhockeyverse at Gmail.
Okay, get that right. Come on.
That's the problem, is like when you're at Postmedia, you're never having to promote and self-promote, and I always felt icky about it, but now it's like, hey,
no, man.
It's a different industry.
Well, you're independent, right? This is a fiercely independent project you and these people are endeavoring, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting to me. Like when you're just a hired gun for Postmedia, like, it's fine, but you're just a hired gun, and everything you write belongs to them, and they kind of own you in a sense. But now you're gonna find out the freedom of working for yourself. This is what matters.
Yeah, I got to do a bit of this when I wrote my book, The Next Ones, and that was another experience where you don't just get to know the hockey players, but meeting the parents of like Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid and even Matt Murray and William Nylander, his parents. Every single player in that book, their journey varied like two Ontario kids had completely different journeys. Never mind the kid from Finland or the kid from Arizona. It was ridiculous. And talking to like their coaches growing up, their like I said, their brothers, sisters. What is it like when you're in the same house as a guy who's a complete phenom? It's almost like surreal, like doing that story. So I've been really fortunate, like in the last 20 years, to not just get to know players from draft year to retirement year, but to know kind of everyone involved in the community. And it is a hockey community, and that's the whole thing we're trying to highlight with this the Hockeyverse. So yeah.
Well, I promise we'll talk a little more about the Hockeyverse at the end. The book you mentioned, the next ones, how McDavid, Matthews, and a group of young guns took over the NHL. It won a silver medal. I'm going to pretend I know what this means, okay? You won a silver medal
this award existed.
at the Independent Publisher Book Awards 2019.
Yeah.
That's not bad. Who the hell beat you? Do you know?
I don't know. I think it was like
screw
a book
them.
on like yoga or Pilates or something.
That's bullshit. Are you kidding me? The next ones should have won. I think you got robbed, buddy. But good. Congrats on the silver medal. Now let's address the elephant in the room so we can move on to more about your career. This is key here. Let me shout out to Chris Cooksey, whose son plays hockey. He's very good, but he's trying to call me, but I'm not available. Chris, I'll call you later. Okay. A lot of questions came in about this. I'm going to just give you a chance to explain yourself, and we're going to have an adult conversation about this. But I'll give credit to Jake S., who was first in.
We have to have an
yeah, we have to do this now because, you know.
No, an adult conversation.
Okay. Well, you don't have. You can throw things at me if you want, but don't throw the beer at me. Jake S., I'll give him credit for the first one in here. He says, what's he got against adults wearing bike helmets? Okay, I saw this tweet because I subtweeted it. I'm like, this Michael Traikos is an idiot or something like that, okay? Please don't be upset. But I called it like I saw it. What did you tweet that has upset so many people regarding adults and bike helmets? Please, Michael, speak to me.
I knew...
You must have known when that was coming
Is
out.
Christina Rutherford a friend of the show as well?
She's an FOTM, yeah.
Okay. I knew it was bad when she tweeted at me. She was like, come on. And it's like, my whole Twitter profile is with me in a helmet.
Okay, remind us, because I know you deleted the tweet like a coward.
You can probably find it. Not like a coward, like a good boy from a company who got told to delete the tweet.
Okay, you got told to delete the tweet. Okay, Postmedia is like, this is a bad look.
Yeah.
Okay, give me in a nutshell.
We can have like Brian Hunter on our payroll, but you can't tweet.
That's funny. So like, how does that work? The boss says, would you mind deleting that tweet, or do they tell you?
Let's back up. Okay, so the tweet
give me
was
the whole
like
thing. I'm going to lean back and you tell me the whole thing.
What was the tweet? It was like, tweet was like something like, I don't understand grown adults who ride a bike helmet, like something to that extent, right?
What I took from your tweet, and maybe I'll look up what you really wrote, but what I took from it was basically you were like ridiculing adults who wear a bike helmet.
Yeah.
First of all, were you hammered when you tweeted that? Like, give me some excuse here. But
okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to try to explain it, and it might actually sound worse.
Okay, let me hear it.
So let's... I think it was just like, it was during the pandemic. This is how you
okay, well, then
is you absolve yourself of everything by just saying it was during a pandemic, okay? Things were weird at that time. Right. There was a lot of anger in the world, right? There was a cloud of hate just covering you wherever you walked. So I remember just like walking around, and so, Toronto, like, you got to remember, you live in Toronto, okay?
Yes, I do.
So this is like a different world to me. I'm up in Newmarket.
Oh, okay.
So during the pandemic, I had a yard where I actually like got to enjoy things. I reconnected.
I have a yard.
With my
you want to
life.
see it? I have a yard.
Anyhow,
I'll show you before you leave.
To ride a bike in Newmarket is like when you see like video footage of like 1940s movies or something. Okay, like there might be a car. There's no cars because it's just bike paths. First of all, that go through wooded areas.
I'm listening.
Okay, so
I'm gonna hear you out before I respond. So
this isn't like I'm suggesting adults don't wear bike helmets if you're going down like Lakeshore Boulevard or like up Yonge Street.
You think
in Dundas or something?
You think the absence of cars mean you shouldn't like wear a helmet? You don't need to wear a helmet.
I think if you're just going for a nice bike ride, you're gonna play tennis that day, and you're confident in your biking abilities, there's no reason why you should fall off that bike. And all I was saying was, I don't know. It was during the pandemic, Mike.
All right, my turn. Okay. So I have so many things to say here.
It feels like we should have started with this
Well,
and then been like, okay, it's been an hour and a half. We really have to go.
Well, I'm going to get this out of the way because then we're going to talk more about your career in sports media. But so I should fully disclose. I don't know why I have to disclose this, but I am an avid cycler. I did
Me too.
a couple of rides already.
I was talking
today.
about biking to Muskoka with my friends last weekend.
And when you bike in your neighborhood, obviously
Again,
in Newmarket,
we probably would not have. I don't think I'd be wearing the helmet for that. But okay, sorry.
So in March 2020, which was during the pandemic, we were a couple weeks into this lockdown or whatever it was, and I was doing a bike ride. I was on Royal York. Okay, no cars in sight. I couldn't even see a car. I guess in March 2020, nobody left their fucking house. It was like no automobiles. It was kind of weird. But I'm biking on Royal York, and there are these two kids, and they're walking a dog. This happened, okay, and I'm biking by. And the dog juts out like it's going to go into my spokes, okay? And I was so afraid that I was going to have like a dog in my spokes. Something happened where I must have hit the brake really suddenly and I went over the top, okay? My helmet split into two. Like I went to St. Joe's because I broke my wrist too. So I had a broken wrist. But my helmet split in two. And they did a CAT scan because he's like, we got to see if you have any brain damage, brain bleed from... it's funny I'm talking about this because I actually have... another brain issue now, which you probably noticed by talking to me. But all this is to say, no car involved. I don't even want to know what would have happened to me if I wasn't wearing my helmet because it was enough impact to split into two. Like that's only three years ago.
So since that tweet, a lot of people have been tweeting to me about bike injuries that they've had. And I guess I was just kind of ignorant to the fact that people have, had bad spills.
And it doesn't, like, the absence of cars does not negate. And you're saying,
listen, I'm not
you
saying
never know what
like,
could
hey,
happen
take
about-
off your helmet, hippie. Get that thing out of here. I'm saying like, especially on ski hills, there's a lot of kind of like people looking down at you if you're not wearing a helmet these days.
Yeah, because I think,
judging,
and again, it's not the law.
Maybe
obviously.
I was judging.
Okay, so
well.
Michael Traikos, you don't have to by law. There's no law saying you have to wear a helmet when you bike. Okay, that's just for like kids under 16 or something like that. You don't have to wear a helmet, but I will tell you, I won't go for a ride without a helmet because it's not worth the risk. There are many things that can cause you to crash or fall off your bike that do not have anything to do with automobiles. I've had several times my helmet has hit the ground. I do bike a lot, though, I should point out, but I've never had a car involved in any of them. Like it can happen. So I'm just saying I would say it was best practice. My 21-year-old son, I always tell him, I would like you to wear a helmet every time you bike because it's not worth the risk. It's your head, man. Yeah. I'm going through a brain thing right now. This is so fucking vital that you protect your head. Why wouldn't you throw on a helmet?
Why do you think that touched the nerve? Like the issue so much? Because I remember tweeting it out. Here's the thing. I tweeted it out and I was like, oh, wow, a couple people are retweeting this. And I laughed about it. And then, so I work out with my brother at his place twice a week.
Yeah.
I went to work out with them. I came back home and my wife was like, you went viral. What happened? It was the only thing I went viral for. And she's like, it got so bad that the editor at the paper called me and said, listen, we either got to come out with an editorial about how we're against bike helmets or we got to take this down. Which one are you going to do? Yeah.
Like,
I was like, I'm just going to take this down. I'm like, and I was getting like people from like the States getting involved. It's kind of weird to touch the nerve.
It's because you weren't like, I choose not to wear a helmet. You were like, and I wish I could find this tweet. Like it was a little
It's easy.
effort.
A lot of people screen grabbed it.
Of course, because they're like, this idiot's
just
going
type in my name and idiot. And I think there's another one I wrote. So I wrote a product review for Husker
So many
Von
results for you, an idiot. Oh, so many results. Okay, go ahead.
So you know Husker Von chainsaw?
Yes.
The chainsaw.
Of course.
So it was during the summer. I usually don't work in the summer because I'm a hockey writer. So I take like a school teacher in that regard.
Right.
So if they are like, hey, we got like some product reviews, you want to write it, kind of like whatever, they'll send you a chainsaw to play around with. So I did a story about it. And in the picture, I'm not wearing any protective equipment, no visor. I'm wearing my like squash shoes. I'm just wearing a pair of shorts. They gave me chaps. Some pictures I'm wearing them, some I'm not. the one that they chose for the paper. Look at this up. Just type in Traikos and chainsaw. It's hilarious.
Okay.
The amount of comments I got from people saying, "You idiot, you're going to chop off your leg. I've had a chainsaw incident." It was almost like the bike community or bike helmet community and the chainsaw protective community teamed up on me. And
all right, one thing at a time. Let's get this bike thing going here. Okay, so I found the tweet. This is what you wrote. Things I'll never understand, colon.
kind of like, things you make you go,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Shout out to CNC Music Factory. Okay.
Let's go.
Things I'll never understand, colon. Adult cyclists who wear a bike helmet. So I think the reason we all shit all over you, deservedly so, I would say, is that
Why deservedly
you
so?
don't understand why an adult might want to keep their brain intact and keep their brain protected when they're on a bike ride. Like the whole arrogance and idiocy that you would write, I'll never understand why adults wear a bike helmet. Like, please tell me you were hammered. Like, at least then we can be like, drunk.
You know what?
Whatever.
Again, I think I was just taking the piss and just like, I don't know if you've followed my career, but I've had I've talked to my wife, but I have a history of like riling up the masses or.
But you double down and you get me. I'm getting
Triple
angry
down, I
again.
think,
Triple
at
down,
some
right?
point.
Because at some point, one of your replies when people are like, you wrote, "I avoid cars when I'm on my bike. Thanks." Like, what an arrogant, stupid, like everyone who's been hit by a car, didn't avoid them.
You say it was March. I think it was sometime in July, actually.
No, this was your tweet. No, my bike, I never said my bike crash when I split my helmet was March 2020. That's where March comes in. Your tweet is from June 3rd, 2021. Hold on, we're not done yet. Somebody came in and said, like, hey, what if you fall or something? And then you wrote back, maybe don't fall with a question mark, like, which pisses me off because I was literally safely on Royal York in a bike lane with no cars in sight. I just picked up a tax form from my son who was at his mom's house, and I was biking home, and there was these two kids in the fucking because as I speak to you, Michael, I literally have a brain clot on my brain, and I have a hematologist and I have a neurologist trying to figure out how the fuck does a healthy 40-something-year-old guy get this super rare blood clot on the brain, super fucking rare. How does he get this thing when the biggest causes are birth control pill and pregnancy? Okay. I've never been on the birth control pill. I've never been pregnant. 2 fun facts. So they're all like, their job is to figure out how I got this. I'm being tested for genetic disease and all that.
Have you guys looked into I don't want to.
What are you, doctor now?
The vaccine, possibly.
Yeah, that's what they've decided.
Did you get the Moderna / what was the other one I got? I got like a trifecta one.
Is that how your brain operates? Like, it's probably the vaccine and not the actual fucking COVID I had. It's probably the vaccine, okay? It would be more likely to be COVID than the vaccine. Regardless, it could be that crash in 2020. Like, I'm just saying, it could theoretically. We're gonna find out. I'm gonna let them do their thing.
A lot of variables here, Mike.
A lot of variables here, but I'm just reading now. I'm getting angry because this person has indexed.
What'd you do in your college years, man?
What did I do in my college years? Sorry for the earlier tweet regarding bike helmets. I meant I don't understand why adults who know how to ride a bike choose to wear a helmet. For those still learning how to ride, by all means.
What a jerk.
Welcome. Seriously, like, why would I want this guy in my basement for a nice chat? He sounds like an asshole.
See, so we were talking earlier about Myrtle, and you're like, oh, isn't there like some hatred and this stuff?
Yeah, Myrtle and Simmons. But there is. Go on.
So there's this medium called Twitter, right? Where you're just kind of like firing back at people. And during the pandemic, I swear it reached heightened levels of hate where I had to remove notifications and then scroll.
But if you had sent that same tweet in 2019, we would have shit on you then too.
I don't know.
I promise you.
You think so?
And the thing is about me when I tweet, I'm actually like, I would
have done it earlier in my career had I known I got the reaction. I could have parlayed that.
You could lean in,
one of those kind of like bad boys, shock jockey kind of. What is that?
Do you wear a seatbelt when you drive?
So my wife's always on me on this.
So you don't.
It depends.
You're actually. Can I just like, I'm looking in the eyes when I say this. Again, you have bigger muscles than I do.
No.
I trust me, you do. I think you're kind of dumb, man. This is some stupidity that you're spitting into my nice professional microphone.
Listen, this is all entertainment. I remember talking to a couple broadcasters who were involved in that whole TSN like rap. What was it, like a country song or the rap song they did for the trade deadline?
Not surprised, but yeah.
And it was just kind of like, you made yourself look like an idiot. I'm just like, it's entertainment, buddy. All right.
So today, as we speak in March 2023, do you want to go on the record and you can double down if you want, because it's your fucking opinions. But how do you really feel about adults who choose to wear a helmet when they bicycle, even in Newmarket?
Do what you will. All right. No judgment from me.
Thank you.
There you go. And that's all I'm going to say.
See, now I have to root for you to have a bike crash and break your skull open.
You're part of the problem.
So I can tell you, so I can say, Michael Traikos, I told you so.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing
you miss on Twitter is just like, the guy's just like, he's charming. Oh,
Who's charming?
Me. This guy.
I'll let you know. We could do another half an hour and I'll
That's
make it.
That's funny. You're like, you're just a dummy.
Well, but if
Smoke and mirrors for 19 years, Mike, okay? Smoke and mirrors, man. I got Chat GTP before anyone. That was the real coup.
Holy smokes, Michael. Okay, look, and Michael, you know what? I'm going to just say it now that we've, established I think you're kind of dumb. I think you should be a Mike. This is this Michael pompous Michael bullshit. Okay, who do you think you are?
That's part of the smoke and mirrors.
So pretentious,
Originally, I was Michael S. Traikos.
Oh, that's even worse. Are you going to put Esquire at the end of that? Like Michael S.
It was before all that, so I could have.
Do you know this gentleman, Michael Landsberg? You ever heard of him?
Yeah, I was on Off the Record with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many? Okay, a bunch of apperances. Were there wrestlers on with you? Tell me about your off the record.
My off the record appearance was amazing. So I was still, I think before I was even engaged my wife, but she was always hanging around. I was still living in my parents' house. We had the whole basement set up where it was kind of like, is this guy ever going to leave? And I'd go on Off the Record. We tape it on the VCR. VHS, and then my buddies would come by with my wife and we'd have some beers and watch it. Once I was on with Ed the Sock, but not Ed the Sock. I was on with
Steve Kersner.
No, his wife.
Oh, Leanna Kay.
Yeah, so she was one of the people.
Also enough for
Frank D'Angelo.
Oh, you're
at the same time.
You're safe?
Oh my God. And who was the third person?
Frank D'Angelo is going to run for
Kevin
mayor.
Bieksa.
Okay, look at him now. Hockey Man Canada Superstar.
It was an all-star panel of just kind of like the surreal life.
Wow, okay.
And then me, obviously.
Leanna Kay's been here.
I bought my whole outfit that day. It was shades of brown. I had like brown etnies, like some brownish khakis, and then a dark brown polo.
It's
too much brown.
Frank D'Angelo, he was being financed by Barry Sherman. Do you know the name Barry Sherman?
Nah.
Billionaire Apotex. He was a billionaire.
That's not the one where him and his wife were murdered.
Bingo.
Right? Yeah,
Bingo.
Yeah.
See, you know the story.
You said I'm a dummy.
So anyway, Frank D'Angelo, I have not invited him over because my insurance won't cover it.
He's running for mayor now.
Yeah, he's running for mayor because it's going to give him some publicity for like a real cheap amount of dollars.
So when I covered
you should run for mayor and just like outlaw like bike helmets in adults. Like it'll be your first platform.
I've got a Frank D'Angelo story. So when I was covering the Indy, it was right when Cheetah drink came out. Right. Remember the Cheetah drink?
Of course I do. Ben Johnson.
What was the slogan? It was
I cheetah all the time.
Cheetah.
Do I remember the Cheetah drink? Do you know where you are?
So we're in the media room. And they obviously have like a cooler full of drinks. It's sweltering hot, right? You're going to see knee grounds all day.
Right.
No joke. The whole bloody cooler is just filled with Cheetah drinks. Like 5 different flavors of the damn thing. No water. Just Cheetah.
Yeah.
Do you know what's in a Cheetah? The whole thing was there's no caffeine.
Sugar?
It's no caffeine, all sugar.
Yeah,
that's the secret ingredient is dump a bunch of sugar in here.
Well, I'm sure the whole enterprise was financed by Barry Sherman because that was like, because he made all these movies and he'd pay cash for like, big famous actors who are maybe a little past their prime. He'd pay cash and they'd kind of all shoot their stuff in one day or whatever. But that's the Frank D'Angelo way.
Mike, can I have another one of these?
Yeah, but do you want me to go get you a cold one? Like, if you can talk, because I'm not going to edit this, okay? I refuse. But if you want to address the FOTMs listening, I'll run up and get you another one. I'll get you another one.
Yeah.
So talk to the people. Go.
Okay. Thanks very much.
You can say anything you want. I'll hear it later.
Well, I'll probably just be talking about, my real views on the vaccine and what the government really wants us to think about. No, in all seriousness, Michael Traikos here from former Postmedia employee, now part of a team called the Hockeyverse. And honestly, if you are a hockey parent, hockey fan, hockey player,
Pop it on the mic. You got to buy a...
we want to hear from you.
You're gonna have to become a sponsor.
HeyHockeyverse@gmail.com.
Okay, HeyHockeyverse@gmail.com. You're gonna have to become a sponsor if you're gonna do that much plugging here.
I will.
So Great Lakes beer, you just had your second can. Do you
I
like
love it.
Do you like Italian food?
Why? You think I'm Italian?
No.
What? Why would you think I'm Italian?
I don't think you're Italian.
Traikos.
See, you're just proving my point. Okay, listen. I don't think you're Italian. Traikos
Sounds very mighty presumptuous
sounds very
of
Greek
you
to me.
there.
Sounds very Greek to me. But do you like Italian food?
Love it.
Okay, I have. Please let me do my plugs. I gave you all that chance to do your plugs. I'm trying to give you. Michael, I'm trying to fucking give you a delicious frozen lasagna that's in my freezer right now from Palma Pasta. I'm trying to give you free food. Do you think I think you're Italian? Do you think I was in the gifted program, Michael? I should pull out my gifted certificate here. Holy smoke, that was pre-brain damage though. But I do have a large meat lasagna for you, and it's courtesy of Palma Pasta. Palma Pasta makes delicious Italian food. I don't think you're Italian, but I think your dinner tomorrow night will be Italian. You're taking it home with you.
I will.
Okay, and you're going to enjoy it
pasta.
too. And your wife's going to enjoy it too. Everyone's going to enjoy it. You got any kids?
I do. I have
How old are these kids?
I got a 14-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son.
Perfect lasagna eating ages.
Yeah,
okay.
they love lasagna
12
too.
and 14. Yeah, everybody does. Okay, you're bringing that home. That's a big box. It's going to be full when you leave. I'm also giving you, I don't know what you'll need to measure with this, but you never know. This is measuring tape courtesy of Ridley Funeral Home. And if you don't wear a helmet when you bike, you're going to end up at Ridley Funeral Home.
You know what? I wanted to measure my bicep the other night, and I couldn't find a measuring tape, so this is perfect.
Honestly, that's what I want you to do. I want you to measure those biceps. Find out what I'm in for when we finish recording. Okay. And last but not least, if you got any antiquated tech, maybe you got an old 8-track machine in your garage, or you got some old Sony Walkman that doesn't work here. I'm really going back with these references. But if you have old tech, don't throw it in the garbage. It ends up in the landfill, and there's a lot of dangerous chemicals in there. Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca and find out a safe place to drop that off, because EPRA has our back. Thank you, EPRA, and thank you, recyclemyelectronics.ca. Okay, so you got a second logger going there. We're going to move on from the helmets and cycling, because it is making me mad. Like, I'm actually, like, I don't care if you have bigger muscles. I'm saying, let's throw down right here. I got the cameras on us. Let's go. I don't care. Just don't hit my head, because I got to be careful. I got blood thinners, and it could fuck me up, so don't do that. Okay. When in your life, Michael Traikos, young Italian man, when did you realize you wanted to, write about sports and be in sports media?
So that's a weird one, because I never choose to go into sports. Sports literally chooses me. Okay. In the sense that I don't know what it is about me, because I wasn't like a high-level athlete or anything like that. But when I wrote at the town paper, I started writing a regular column, and they threw me into hockey. And then the day before I was supposed to start at the National Post, Jim Bray calls me and says, I know you're supposed to start in news, but we got a couple guys getting married this summer. We could really use a guy who could help out on everything. We're going to throw you whatever. And I was like, okay. I remember even calling a guy at the Hockey News and being like, hey, what do you actually think I should do? And he's like, I don't know. News is probably a better entry into journalism. Sports, you might get typecast. But so I was never actually choosing sports. I ended up going to sports. And then, looking back, it almost like ruins you, because I can't imagine going from sports back to news now. It's almost like it was too much fun where to actually write about like, I don't know, city politics or anything like that. I don't know.
So you accidentally fell into a 20-year career as a sports reporter.
Yeah, very much so. Like a lot of people will start out in junior hockey or really kind of like paying their dues, so to speak. And for me, I was editor-in-chief of the Eye Opener, so Ryerson's student newspaper. And from there, I did some freelance with the Hockey News. Again, it was almost like all of my friends were always in sports, so maybe that's what helped out. And yeah, I always wondered if I had kept in sport news, because I remember even in my internship, I was getting a lot of like A1 stories, and I was really into traveling and doing war zone coverage. I remember when I was at the Toronto Star radio room, one of my assignments was like transcribing Rosie DiMano's column from where she was in Afghanistan at the time. And it was the worst job in the entire universe.
Tell me why.
Because Rosie would just be yelling at me, and she was on a satellite phone that would break up like constantly. And she was like, if that period isn't there, or if my M dash is in a wrong spot. And I'm like, you got to write for Rosie. So she's like just yelling it at you. And I'm like, this is going to it sounds so weird. So you're trying to write it and you're like trying to think in your head. You're like, but that's not how people write a sentence. Like, why am I? And she's just cutting in and out. And I was just like, I was so worried that I was like, oh God, I'm going to get fired because Rosie didn't like where I put the semicolon. Or
well, she's not going to take any shit. We know that. Like, she's been very public when she.
But here's the thing about Rosie DiMano. Like, I don't know what your thoughts are on her. I love her.
I've invited her on, but she wrote back, and I'll never forget the line she wrote. "Strictly a print gal am I," is what she wrote back, which is kind of a strange way of saying I don't want to do a podcast.
I've had nothing but amazing interactions with her. And I know a lot of people.
I might see her tonight, buddy. If
you do, don't be. Here's the thing:
she
comes across as someone that like maybe is prickly and whatever. Don't buy that, because she is the nicest person. She's great to talk to. She's funny, great wit. Okay. You might not like her opinions in the paper. I love the fact that I might not like her opinions in the paper. It's like the same reason why I love Simmons, Cox. I love the people who aren't afraid to kind of, really go up on that high wire. Take a shot. If you don't like it, it's like almost like a stand-up comedian who's like going to bomb, and they know they're going to bomb, and they're still going to go up there.
Do you think I only invite people over when I agree with everything they...
I've been waiting for my invitation for so long, man. 20 years.
Why didn't you tell me to invite you? Like, just drop me a little...
And my buddy Greg Strong on. He's like, I was on Toronto Mike. This is awesome. We're talking Duran.
Me.
We're doing all this stuff. I'm like, buddy.
You could have given me a hint.
Buddy.
Like, I don't read Postmedia papers, so you were a bit off my radar. I just needed a little hint. You wanted to come on. I had Buffery on.
You don't read Postmedia papers. That's like 95% of news in Canada is Postmedia. Right. You know that, right?
Just I read Sunday Notes from Steve Simmons because I'm his favorite podcaster.
How about my Thursday column? The most read Thursday.
Wouldn't miss it.
It was the most read Thursday hockey sports column in Canada.
Is that true?
It was the only hockey sports column on a Thursday in Canada.
Okay, lots of meat on these bones here. Let me just. So I started by saying I'm invited to this Buffery, which I actually plan to attend, and I'm an outsider, right? Because I've never worked in the media, and this is going to be a bunch of these Buffery people. But a couple of things here. One is that I invited Buffery over. We had a great 90-minute talk. My politics couldn't be more different from Buffery's, okay? Buffery's like right of super right-wing guy, super conservative guy. I don't care. I like talking to these cats. I had Al Strachan on. I don't care. Think about that. I don't care. You're here, and I think you're stupid, okay? Because of your bike helmet. And you're here now for a conversation. I've given you 2 beers. You're going to take some beer home with you. I'm going to give you a lasagna. I'm willing to look past the whole helmet thing because I'm willing to get to know you better, which we're doing right now. So if I'm at this party tonight, are you going, by the way? You said you were invited.
I don't know, because it's like...
It's in Etobicoke.
That's the problem. So I'm down here now.
You're here now.
Yeah, I wish this was like another day. Because I'm down here now.
Yeah.
And The other thing is, it's like,
Yeah.
how many of these do you got to go to?
Well, it
'Cause
depends how
I
much you
was
like
at-
Beezer. Like if it depends how close you are to Beezer. If you like Beezer and you're a friend of Beezer's, you
That's
should
not
probably
fair.
go.
That's not
Well, that's everything, right?
Yeah, I know
Like,
you're right.
so if I'm invited, it's particularly because you're in South Etobicoke right now. Beezer is practically the mayor of Etobicoke. He's in the Etobicoke Hall of Fame, and his party is in, I will call it, southern part of Etobicoke. You could go from here to there practically, you know? Maybe stop somewhere for a beer or whatever if you have like a half an hour to kill or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you don't go tonight, you really don't like Steve Buffery.
That's not fair. It's on a Thursday.
It's a Thursday. Okay.
Why do you have it on a Thursday?
I don't know. I think Simmons organized this thing. Okay, so you were in the radio room at the Toronto Star. You're transcribing Rosie DiManno's stuff. You have it sounds like that's you on your way to being like a crime reporter. You're
No.
Well, that's on your LinkedIn page. You call yourself a crime
Yeah.
reporter.
Well, that is a smoke and mirror. No, I'm joking. No, it is. Well, you're technically our crime reporting. You're listening to like.
Yeah, the crime is the way that you're being treated by Rosie DiManno.
Basically. No, you're listening to police scanners.
Okay.
You're in a room full of scanners.
Okay, I'm trying
When
to
I say-
imagine this room. Okay,
so it's
One
like-
Young Street, right?
One Young Street.
Yeah.
You're literally in a glassed off room.
Okay.
You can see in and out. It's so bloody loud because you have maybe 8 police, ambulance, fire scanners, all buzzing, talking about whatever. You get to know the codes, and if there's a crime being committed, you start making calls, and yeah.
What's the code for indecent exposure? Do you remember? Is it 311?
Is that's a crappy band? I
Yeah.
saw them live.
But I
once.
heard
You
the
know
band name. Did you?
that? Oh my god! I was
Oh.
dating a girl.
Amber
And
is
she
the
was really.
color
Do you remember that?
energy.
My hydroponics.
I remember
So
all the
brutal.
311 songs that made it to 102.1 The Edge.
Oh man, you know who opened for them?
Tell me. Figure 11.
Mark McGrath's band. What
Oh,
was that?
wow. Sugar Ray.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it wasn't the reverse.
Remember that Mean Machine song that he had? It was
Well,
like-
I remember Fly.
yeah. That was
We
the
had a
big
bunch
one.
of big hits.
Mean
And
Machine was the
that-
one where they're on the hockey rink and they're just hitting
Wow.
each other.
I have a chat tomorrow with Mo Berg, and he had the song
Oh.
Gretzky Rocks. I'm thinking of all the great hockey jams out there.
Man, Mo Berg. So
Yeah.
when I went to
He
Ryerson.
wears a helmet, by the way.
Yeah. Listen.
I think.
Good for him.
He's got nice hair. Go ahead.
That's the first thing I thought about when I thought about Mo Berg. I'm like, I wonder if he wears a helmet. Because oh man, this is gonna ruin it for me now.
What were you going to say?
When I was living in Toronto, so
Mhm.
Ryan Kennedy, do you know Ryan Kennedy at all?
No.
So he's the editor in chief now of the Hockey News.
Okay.
Him and I were roommates.
Okay.
He's in like he was always in like hardcore bands and stuff, like a drummer. So we'd go to like show after show after show, and one of our buddies was in the Deadly Snakes, who was
Yeah.
in journalism. Then was in Tangiers, so we'd always see their shows.
What's your buddy's name?
James Sayce. Now he's a lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in J school with us. He
All
was
right.
representing class action suit, actually, the one that Carcilla was involved in.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, really cool guy though, man. I don't know if you know that. So you know the Deadly Snakes, right?
Yeah.
They're an amazing band, and he was the bass player in their first album, and then him and a couple other guys had the band called Tangiers, were basically like a Stroke style band. Just amazing. They opened for like Thrush Hermit on their last tour and stuff like that.
I love it. That's Joel Plaskett's band, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I played for Keegan Matheson the last episode before yours. I played some Joel Plaskett. He
Joel Plaskett Emergency.
I think it's him solo, actually. I can say it's just Joel Plaskett, but it's called This Town. I can't remember.
love
It's
Joel
like a love
Plaskett.
song to Halifax.
Yeah, he's got some great tunes.
No, absolutely. Okay, I'm enjoying this now. Okay, now you've won me back. So we got the crime
Yeah, I'll win you
reporter
back. Look at
stuff.
this. Look at this. Do you see my tattoo?
What is that exactly?
Oh, Pixies P, man.
Okay, well, we should be kicking out the jams next time. You know what? I'd kick out the
like,
jams.
that's the
next
thing.
time.
Like, aside from
Strong,
sports,
you know what? He skipped a step. Like normally, I have a Gregory Strong on, which I thoroughly enjoyed having Gregory Strong on, and we talk about his career at CP and everything. And then he comes back and we kick out the jam. So like you're doing this is going to be like the Michael Traikos, deep dive, and then you come back and we can kick out the Pixies.
We'll play it all, man.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna do that. Okay. So, and you get more beer and you get more lasagna. Okay. So I got to get to the Postmedia here. So you do like some. You're very young, obviously, but you're at the Toronto Star in the radio room, and then you're freelancing at the Hockey News.
Yeah.
And how exactly do you get the offer from National Post?
So I won an award at Ryerson, and then when you're the editor of the paper and you're the managing editor of news, you kind of get on people's radar. And especially when you're at the Eye Opener, you get on a lot of people's radar because former editor-in-chiefs of the Eye Opener are like a who's who of journalists. And just going into Ryerson, it feels very much like you're already getting plucked from place to place. So
how do you feel about the fact that university is now called Toronto Metropolitan University?
I don't care at all because when I went there, it was Ryerson Polytechnic University, and then it changed to Ryerson University, and I was always like, this place has no identity.
It was Institute first. It was Institute.
Yeah, it was an institute first? Okay.
Yeah, because when I was at U of T, it was like a Polytechnical Institute.
It has no history. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, now it's an actual university. Okay, so National Post, you're on radars. You're on these fucking radars, and National Post is like, we need this Michael Traikos. We need this guy. And you come on, what, as a hockey writer?
So I came on, I was supposed to be a news reporter, got dragged into sports, spent the summer there, summer there as an intern. And then right after that was the lockout, covered a lot of lockout stuff. And then, just grabbed the beat out of the 05-06 season. So it was almost like that was the year Crosby and Ovechkin came into the league, and there was very much like a young league. And I think because I was a young reporter, it was almost like it was kind of a good match. Alan Woods was just leaving to go, I think, back into news, and then he was going to go to the Star after that. And there was kind of like Bruce Arthur was there, but he wanted to do basketball. Sean Fitzgerald was there, but I think he wanted to do more football. And it was a nice little void for me. And I just come in and just grab it.
All right, so you're starting there May 2014, right?
Yeah.
So are you there?
Oh, no, 2014?
No, did I say that? Yeah, see, I have brain damage. 2004, May 2004.
May 2004.
So are you there when the Leafs are in the second round against, I think it was Philadelphia?
So I'm there as an intern at that point.
Because I was about to blame you for everything, because it's almost
I've
like... I've
never been there for a playoff win.
Right. Okay. So, because I have because that's 18 years, 11 months or whatever. I have an 18-year-old daughter who's turning 19 this summer. And in her lifetime, her existence on this planet, there has not been a single second round game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay. She's about to turn 19. There's never been one game. The last time the Leafs are in the second round is in the 2004 season. They beat Ottawa and then they lose to the Flyers in the second round. Pat Quinn is the freaking coach. And Ed Belfour is the goalie. This is ancient history now for everybody. But maybe it's you. You show up, and this team can't win around.
Isn't that kind of weird? Like, there's a whole generation. Like, it used to be a whole generation of people or fans hadn't, seen the Leafs win a cup. Now it's a whole generation of fans, like your daughter, who hasn't even seen them win a playoff round.
Yeah, absolutely. So my 21-year-old son, who actually likes hockey, can't remember. He can't remember the 2004.
Not, yeah.
So you got 21-year-old dudes and gals, and they have no recollection of a second round league game.
I think this year.
Okay, but did you say that last year?
Yeah. Every year.
Every year. Okay, because it could happen, right? We it could happen.
It's one of those things where it's like when it does happen, you shouldn't be surprised.
No, but you could have said that the last several years. We should have beat the Montreal Canadiens. We went to Game 7 against Tampa Bay last year. It's always been like a coin flip. It just always falls on the wrong side.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's a coin flip. It's just I don't know, the ghost of Harold Ballard. You know what's a funny story is I say Harold Ballard, eh? Guess what my street name is?
Ballard.
It's Harold. No, it is Ballard.
Is that the street where no adults wear fucking helmets on Ballard Street?
So we moved there, and it's no joke. It's named after Harold Ballard. So we're in New.
I'm not even surprised. I just went to St. Joe's with this brain thing, and I had to spend the night because I thought I was going to have a stroke. And I'm there, and there's the Harold E. Ballard wings. There's a whole Ballard section of St. Joe's down in
He
Parkville.
ingested money everywhere, I guess. So he brought the AHL farm team, the Newmarket Saints.
Right.
So when he got there, that's when my subdivision was being built, and so they named a street after him, and then there's a street named after Stellick.
Gord or his brother?
Gord.
Gord. Oh, that's amazing. Like, I'm not surprised at the Ballard
I
thing.
told Stellick that, and he's like, is it a dead-end street?
It's a cul-de-sac for
He's
Gordo.
He's always good with the quips.
Must
be a dead-end
What
street.
I did last summer, now he's just making you jealous because you've been wanting to come on this program for a while, but last summer I put Gord and Damien Cox on together, so they were in this basement kind of reunited for an episode of Toronto Mic'd.
Oh, nice.
But you are going to come back this coming summer to kick out the jams, just because I think you'd have a good musical taste, because before we press record, you told me you had like a drum kit in your basement or something, even though you don't play the drums.
Yeah, a drum kit. I got a bass guitar.
So why don't you learn to play the drums? You got a drum kit down there. Like, how did it end up? How did you get
do
it?
like a general beat, but nothing special. Bass, I was decent in, but then I screwed up my finger.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe it was a bike crash. Okay.
Some drunk guy kicked me.
So you never know. That's the other thing. Another reason, again, and I'll leave the bike helmet thing, but you don't know if there's a drunk guy driving around. Like, people get hammered and then
But it's pathway. It's a pathway no cars are on.
Okay, but I once chipped a pinky, which they don't. Yeah, you chip a bone in your pinky, which they don't do much for. Sorry, but I was on the way home from a Ubiquitous Energy Seeker show, and I'm on the bike, the waterfront trail heading west, and there's no cars allowed. But a cyclist coming up basically went out of his lane and hit me head on, and then I crashed down and chipped this fucking pinky.
Okay, but how about if you were just like walking and that happened? Like, wear a helmet then.
Well, it's not the same energy falling thing. Like, it's about the more energy.
How fast are you going on the bike? That's the other question. A lot of people are seem like they're going like Tour de France level.
No,
speed.
dude. I measure every
How about
ride.
if you're going
I don't
10
go more
kilometers? I'm just listening to tunes. I'm on my way to tennis.
Okay, but ridiculous. You'd probably be going at least, 16, 17 if you're just noodling your way to tennis or whatever. Okay, but here, we got you at the National Post. No more of this bike fucking talk. It just pissed me off. So May 2004, you show up. They assign you as like a hockey writer. You've been covering these Leaf teams that were shit, and then they couldn't get out of the first round. And they've yet to get out of the first round, although it could happen this year. But of course, you won't be there. You'll be at Hockeyverse or whatever.
I might still be there.
What is that, like freelance? Because Cox
there's
still
just
showed
a
up at the
lot
Star, and he hasn't been at the Star for a while.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate because I didn't time this for coinciding with actual news announcements, but there's a lot of things there's a lot of moving parts.
Do you have an announcement you want to make?
I can't make it today.
Okay, so
it's a problem.
Maybe you're going to be back at
yeah,
Postmedia?
You know what? No, not at Postmedia, but
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Where?
I'm not gonna say.
Howard Berger's blog.
No, the funeral home, actually.
Hey, they're no Ridley, but anyway. So you, okay, so you basically did this. You're the young guy. You've got all the digital sensitivities. That sounds dirty, but it's not. And you're basically, why don't you give me a few highlights? Like, you covered the 2008 Winter Olympics.
No, 2010.
Yeah, so there's a typo on your, it is 2010, but there's a typo on your LinkedIn because I copied this over and I see now it is 2010. It was in Vancouver.
I gotta fire that guy.
How much of your LinkedIn profile is bullshit and how much is real talk?
Well, that's the thing. With my job, you can't even bullshit. Like, I could say hey, I was the national columnist for sports media or Postmedia, and then you're like, well, I can't find your name.
That's right.
So that's the thing. You can just look up my name and just type in Leafs or something, or
nowhere to hide.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me, were you at the Golden Goal game that Sidney Crosby?
I was. So that day.
Talk about that.
Okay, so I was covering short track speed skating because you all get it. Everyone gets assigned to a beat. In 2010, I was still cutting my teeth to a degree, and so I got short track, and they said, "Hey, there's going to be a ton of gold medals coming out of here." And I was like, "That's fine and dandy, but." At nighttime, I'm going to find my way to the rink and I'm going to write hockey as well. So I did that enough where a gold medal game, they actually give out tickets. Not everyone gets a ticket. That's the thing you think. You're covering the Olympics. It doesn't mean you're going to every event. So
everybody wants to go to this gold medal game.
Everyone wants to go.
Right.
So I remember taking the guy who really wanted to go and really raised the stink was George Johnson, because he was like, there's no one from Calgary going to be here, and you're giving the ticket to Traikos, who's from Toronto, where Bruce Arthur is, and can't remember who else was there, Joe Connor, and there's a bunch of others. So they're like, you have to write Jarome Iginla. George has made such a stink. There's no Calgary angle. So lucky enough, I got to write Iginla. He hasn't done squat. He's like the old man on that team. Remember that?
Sure.
He hasn't done anything. Overtime comes around, and it's the Crosby yelling Iggy.
Yeah.
And Iginla passing it to Crosby. So luck would have it, I got an amazing story out of it. And yeah, forget about the short track. That's all I care about from the Olympics.
Okay, so famously, every salty old reporter will tell you there's no cheering in the press box. So when you're at like a 2010 gold medal game and you're covering it for the National Post, and you hear Iggy, and then we all know what happens next. Sidney Crosby scores on Ryan Miller. Gold medal, gold goal. We got it. Now, are you jumping up and down like crazy or what? Like you celebrating that goal?
It's not even like the old salty reporter says it. I think it's totally true, because you're just on work mode, and you don't.
So what happens tell me what happens with you, Michael?
So I'm in auxiliary press box that night.
Okay.
So top press box is, it's not even in the press box. You're actually middle of the rink, sort of like gold or platinum seats, just above the platinum. So I'd say first row gold is the media press box. So all the guys who have been covering Canada and the Olympics, like just hockey, are there, and there's maybe 30 of them. I'm in auxiliary, which is in the nosebleeds, basically. But I'm with everyone. No desk in front of me. I just got the laptop literally on my lap. The whole building's shaking. The whole time we're in overtime. Everyone's on their feet. I can't even see a thing. I didn't even see the goal. All I heard and felt was just everyone just going bananas.
Eruption.
Yeah. So when Iginla was explaining the whole, then Crosby yelled Iggy and was explaining it, I wrote it based on that. I don't remember if I even saw like a replay of it.
Wow. Just the other night, so 2 nights ago, I was at BMO Field watching Canada play Honduras in soccer. And right in front of us, a guy was wearing a signed, an autographed Jarome Iginla jersey, a Canada jersey, right in front of us. And I says to my friend Bob Willett, I says, Iggy! And we were just chatting about that 2 nights ago.
Really?
Yeah, that happened 2 nights ago. So
that was insane. The only time when you're asking me about are you cheering and you getting caught up in the moment?
Yeah.
So coming back after I'd filed, that was literally the last event of the Olympics.
Yep.
I'm flying home later that night. Even it's like early morning flight, so I'm just going right hotel back to the airport. In the subway, everyone was, and I guess this happens a lot. I thought it was like a rare thing at the time. Everyone started singing "Oh Canada." Oh. That's when I was started singing along, and I was like, okay, I'm done. What a moment.
Yeah.
That's when I kind of
you became a Canadian.
Yeah, and I kind of got to enjoy being the whole fandom of it.
Yeah.
You rarely get that.
So is that the biggest moment you've covered in your 20-year sports media career?
Yeah, unfortunately, because when you think about it, it's like a Leaf Stanley Cup win would trump that. You're not going to say covering Tampa winning or Colorado winning, or I guess the closest would be maybe even Washington winning, but even then it was in Las Vegas. I kept having to cover Stanley Cup finals where the winning team would win on visitor soil, so to speak.
Right.
And you don't get the same sort of emotion.
You can call it visitor ice.
Visitor ice, yeah, that's right. I never thought of that.
So yeah, if you're stuck to hockey, because it's not like you can cover the Raptors championship, because Wallstadt's doing that.
And that's the beauty of just being a hockey guy. So if I am watching, I'm a huge Jays fan.
Okay.
And
here you are missing the season openers talking to me.
It's true. But my wife and I will watch most games on either we'll PVR it or watch it live.
You can listen if you want a good primer for the 2023 season. The Keegan Matheson episode of Toronto Mike, which is the one before this, I think it's 12/27. It's actually really good.
Yeah, Keegan's awesome.
He's a good boy.
Yeah.
He's a good boy. Now, okay, so Do you know Ryan Wallstad at all, or you guys wouldn't cross paths? I guess he doesn't cover any hockey.
Yeah, I know him enough like to chat with him, but like exactly.
Big
times we
90s
talked
hip
about.
hop head. Like that guy loves his 90s hip hop.
Awesome, man. My son's just getting into like 90s hip hop, and I'm like, he's like, have you heard this song? And it's like Notorious B.I.G. And so I'm trying to like move him into like even the 2000s. Like, how about some Lil Wayne, some Manny Fresh?
I love it. Okay, tease me a bit. It sounds dirty, but it's not. Tease me a little about like what I can expect when you do come back to kick out the jams. I mean, we know we're gonna probably get a good Pixies jam, which is awesome. But like, give me a taste. Like, is it heavier stuff or is there any grunge in there? I'm just curious what I'll hear.
Not a huge like grunge, more like indie, like Sebado, Dinosaur Jr. from back in the day.
That guy
These
bikes.
days, like Houndmouth and 21 Pilots I'm into. I do like a lot of hip hop as well. It's funny, like summertime comes around and I'll throw on a lot of country. So I remember
I'm surprised.
I know. So
Like bro country?
total bro country.
Yeah, you know.
Don't. So like when Christina Rutherford and I were like doing like road trips, and so we'd be like in Washington or whatever, and we like rent a cars, but it would be just like she's a huge country person too. So it'd be the only person on the beat that could actually stand it. Maybe her and Mark Spector.
So Christina Rutherford came on with Rachel Brady.
Mm.
Any Rachel Brady stories?
Not really. I think I covered tennis with her once. I like Greg a lot, so I know him probably more than I do Rachel.
So funny thing about Greg there is I'm actually going to be recording live at Great Lakes Brewery, the Brew Pub, so the one at Jarvis and Queens Quay. This is next week. I don't know if it's next Thursday. I have to check my calendar. But I'm there to talk to a whole bunch of like 640 personalities. So I will be chatting up Greg Brady and Kelly Catrera. Who else will I be chatting up? Alex Pearson, Danny Stover, a whole bunch of these FOTMs. So that's actually coming next week. So stay tuned. Yeah, Greg Brady's been on a bunch of times. But yeah, Rachel came on with Christina Rutherford.
Awesome. Yeah. Christina, she's a hell of a person to go on the road with. I mean, like, I remember once her and Greg Wyshynski and I went to like some, what was it called? Highlight Brewery in Tampa. And we did the whole brew tour. Good times.
Well, and you're yada-ing the best part.
Yeah.
Come on. All right, is there anything now
Man,
that you're...
my head was hurting.
I woke up in a gutter.
Crash.
Oh, shit. All right, any big memories over the last 20 years? And it sounds like there's something in the works and you might be back somewhere or whatever, but in the meantime, you got the Hockeyverse thing going on. But like, is there any... On your drive here, you waited a long time to make your Toronto Mike debut. We could have done 90 minutes on the bike helmets, but we veered off and covered a bit of your sports media career. Any big stories you're like, I want to make sure I tell this story, or I want to shout out this guy?
I don't know. If you want to ask me about someone specific, I'm always like, I'm the kind of guy who needs to be prodded almost like.
Okay, well,
like I wouldn't have voluntarily spent like time talking about the bike helmet, but.
Any Don Cherry stories?
Don Cherry. I talked to him once about like so once I talked to the Finnish Don Cherry. So there's a guy in Finland. So maybe Don Cherry's canceled here, but there's a guy in Finland keeping up the shtick. And he's literally known as the Finnish Don Cherry, and he tries to do the whole like, let me tell you about this, but it's in Finnish.
I didn't know about this.
Big suits and everything.
I did get a question here. Let me ask this question before I forget. John Matisse. Do you know this name?
Yeah. Well, we say Mattis.
Okay, you know what? He should change it to Matisse. I feel like it should be Matisse. But John Mattis wants to know, who's your favorite road companion?
That's what I say. I responded.
Oh, I didn't. You got to say it on this microphone right now and try to mic. That doesn't work. You see, this you and your Twitter. You think you can tweet an answer and that's going to be sufficient. So you got to speak right now into this microphone.
Yeah. You know what? I said it was all those guys, and it's a total lie.
Oh, yeah, because I don't know. That's the thing. He did name guys. Luke Fox.
They're all great guys.
Hold on. He also shouts out Joshua Clipperton. Rico? Who's Rico?
Once at a bar, there was a guy who was like... it was karaoke night at a Christmas party for Home Depot, and a guy named Rico went up, and he was like gonna sing like a Prince song and got really into it. Everyone was waiting, and then he got total stage fright and just like
Rico.
whispered the song. You couldn't hear it. Okay, so
What was your
answer? My answer is Mike Zeisberger because
he's cool as ice.
Zeiss is the guy, man. Like, honestly, when I moved on from Postmedia and there's like a lot of people reaching out to you and stuff, Zeiss is like, I will take an Uber. I will stay over at a hotel. We are going to drink until the night goes down.
He might be there tonight, right? If he's in town, he'll be there for sure.
Greatest guy in the business, honestly.
Yeah, he's a good effort.
Have you ever had him on?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. What kind of stories did he tell?
Great stories. Have you ever listened to an episode of Toronto Mike?
I listened to the Greg Strong one.
Okay, so there's one. Okay, so you wanted to get on this program, you just didn't
among
want to
others. I listened to the Schultze one.
Schultze, yeah, many visits from
I didn't
David
listen to the
Schultze.
Zeiss one. My brother always said I should do a podcast with Zeiss because he found him so interesting.
Zeiss, I played Cool as Ice off the top for Zeisberger because it's cool as ice, right? Say that, cool as ice. Yeah. That's a Zeisberger anthem right there.
Zeiss is more into the 70s rock.
Yeah, actually, I should get him back. I did write him a note. So I book guests for the Humble and Fred podcast, and I actually wanted to do like just an NHL playoff kind of setup thing. And I actually sent a note to Zeisberger to see if he wanted to jump on and talk to the guys about it. Anyway.
What do you think? Who's going to go number one in your playoff? Are you talking playoff pool, or are you talking about like who's going to? I want to talk. I want to.
Okay, we can do this.
Opinions on this,
but because
we've talked about helmets. Let's get a quick. See,
it's funny. I'm happy to do this, but when I have a Michael Traikos on the program, like all those other podcasts you do, they just want to ask you about how the Leafs are going to do to get the goaltending.
They appreciate my knowledge.
That's what I have no interest in, because if people want to know the nuts and bolts of the current NHL, there's a million places to go, and this is where we go to learn about Michael Traikos. I mean, people who are like, I think I know this name, I'm not sure. That was about 80 minutes ago. Now they're like, I know everything I ever wanted to know about Michael Traikos, and they're all making decisions right now. Like, I kind of like this guy. This guy's a dick.
I think I'm for a lot of people.
So why don't you, instead of talking about fucking what's going on in the NHL playoffs, I watch the Leafs. I'll be watching the NHL playoffs. Okay, I hope we go on a run because it's fucking fun for me. But I'm also set to go out in the first round. That's how it is being a Leaf fan. Okay,
feels like there's a lot of people just like accepted the fact that this team is just going to be, hey, it might go down. It's almost like it's an acceptance. My brother said to me the other day, he goes, you know what? I'm okay. It's an 82-game season. They were exciting for 82 games, and now it's like, the Jays are starting. And it's like, if it ends right now, I'm okay. At least they got the same team next year. I'm like, that is like the worst kind of comment I've ever heard in my life.
But you do realize that's because it's like Lucy holding the football for Charlie Brown to kick the football, right? Every single time Lucy pulls that football, why the fuck is Charlie Brown still trying to run and kick that football? You know Lucy's going to pull it.
Do you prefer this, though? Like, just regular season juggernaut, it's exciting, and then the playoffs come, they're not there? Or would you rather have the opposite, though?
I was watching a bit last night, but I realized I really don't give a fuck about the regular season Maple Leafs. Like, all I care about is the playoffs.
Really?
This has been a good, entertaining regular season team for years now, but no results in the playoffs. So it's basically like, wake me up when the second season begins, and let's see if we can make a little noise there. Because what do I care about an entertaining, interesting regular season? Like, it's all for naught. I've known we're going to play Tampa Bay in the first round for, 8 weeks now?
Yeah.
Like, how can I get up for these fucking regular season games? I got to be really bored with nothing else going on. Like last night, I'm going to pop it on and say, hey, what's going on? I'm watching a bit of the game here, whatever. And which we lost in overtime. But I'm all about the playoffs right now. And you tell me you're feeling good. The Leafs are going to actually win a round for the first time since 2004.
I think they're going to win a round. I don't know if they're going to win. That's the thing I'm like struggling with right now. Is it literally Stanley Cup or bust, or are you okay with one round and out? Or it feels like no one's going to be happy unless there's a cup. And
then what are we going to do? Like, we're all coming back
if you it's like almost like if you win 2 rounds, you're like, oh, we're so close. And then if you don't win a round, it's like, oh, they're not even close at all. I don't think anyone's going to be happy this year.
If the Leafs go out in the first round to Tampa Bay, I will be very interested to see what happens with the, Kyle Dubas and what.
Kyle Dubas is not getting fired. There's no scenario.
So if the Leafs go out in the first round, for how many years will that be in a row where the Leafs? It doesn't matter. He can do no wrong.
Did you see what he did? the trade deadline?
I saw, but isn't it all about results in the
He
playoffs?
literally said, "Hey, you fan, you guys keep arguing this team's not tough enough. There's not blah blah blah. You don't have enough depth." He got every single player. Like he actually checked off. All right, grit, fine here. That defenseman who just puts the puck off the glass, fine. Joe from the bridge wants that. All right, we'll give him that. He just went down the
Vito
list.
and Woodbridge.
And now it's almost like, what else can you look at with this roster? This roster on paper is good enough to win a Stanley Cup. If they don't do it, there's no way Kyle Dubas loses his job. If he does, then it's like almost like
Stanley Cup.
It's almost like, why would you fire Michael Traikos from the? Oh yeah, wait.
We don't even we don't even know if this team gets out of the first round, and you're like Stanley Cup or bust.
I think that's the mentality now, because it's almost like they.
Are we skipping steps? Like
They
even the
skipped a
Oilers
step.
had
like
to
they
lose.
should have
before
had
they-
like we won a round, we won 2 rounds, or now we got far. Okay, we took a step back and then we came back again. It was been like 6 years now where they didn't even do any of that. So now you just have to get. I think if they win a round, they almost like it's almost like playing with house money now.
When we hit Boston in the second round, you have a scenario obviously in your mind where the Leafs win that series.
I think so. When I just look at this roster and I see they've got so much talent. Like when I came out with that book, The Next Ones, I thought maybe like there'd be 1 or 2 Leafs on the team. There ends up being there's 4 guys from that book that are on the Leafs.
Can I guess who they are? Okay, well obviously Matthews.
One of them
and
is a
Marner.
weird one.
Okay, Matthews and Marner. Is Morgan Riley in that book?
No,
Okay, John Tavares was too old for that book, so he would have been too old, right?
he's got a good head of hair. The next guy.
Nylander.
Yeah, and then the wild card is he got traded to the Leafs.
Okay. Who is it?
He's won 2 Stanley Cups before he was a rookie.
Ryan O'Reilly.
Matt Murray.
Matt Murray.
Because at the time when I wrote it, he was coming off his 2nd Stanley Cup
Right,
win.
that's right.
And he was only like I think 21 years old.
You know, that was wild actually. Yeah.
So you thought like, hey, this is the successor to Carey Price at the time.
How old's your oldest child again?
He's going to be 13.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry. She's going to be,
She's gonna be
15.
15. Okay. So here we'll close with this here, and I have enjoyed it. I'm happy to give you your lasagna and your beer, and I do hope you come back to kick out the jams. And I wish you much success with a hockey verse.
The Hockeyverse.
It's like I once called the Tragically Hip.
One-stop resource.
Tragically Hip, and Jake Gold, the manager, made me aware of the fact it is actually the Tragically Hip. Like THE is an important part of that.
And
name.
it's like, it's not the Pixies. It's Pixies.
Is it the Spoons or Spoons?
I think it's.
No one
Spoons.
knows. Gord doesn't even know. Gord Depp told me he doesn't care. It could
It's
be
Spoon, though. It's not
close.
the Spoon.
Not to be confused. Okay, so your 15-year-old will one day be a 20-year-old. That's going to happen in 5 years. It's going to happen like in a blink of an eye. Okay. When your 20-year-old is going to go bike to work,
Oh, boy.
will you give a fuck if you're going to tell your 20-year-old daughter, why are you wearing a helmet?
They don't wear helmets now, though, Mike.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to report this to the...
Report this.
before I go to...
Damn it, I told you my street address and everything.
Hey, this is how much I now know about you that you put on the public record. I just got to go find Newmarket. I got to find a street called Ballard, and I got to look for the guy without a helmet. I'm going to make a couple of calls before I go to Beezer's farewell party tonight and report that your children under the age of 16 are not wearing helmets. That's against the law. Citizens arrest. Michael Traikos. This was great fun, and you'll be back to kick out those jams because they say only because I think I'll enjoy these jams. Hopefully, it's not too much bro country, but I can't stop you. What's your favorite bro country song?
Ooh, I don't know. It might be Cruise.
Is it about pickup trucks?
Yeah. Pickup trucks and
Beer
girls.
and girls, yeah. Pickup trucks, beer, and girls. That's bro country for you in a nutshell. How was this experience? Everything you hoped it would be?
I think it was fun. I got 2 beers out of it, some lasagna.
Yeah, you know what? It was a pretty good deal for you.
Win-win.
I want to be a guest on my own show. That's what I want. And that brings us to the end of our 1,228th show. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Toronto Mike. Michael, tell us how we can follow you on Twitter where we can see all your hot takes on cycling.
There you go. Michael_Traikos. That is MICHAEL_TRAIKOS. And again, follow thehockeyverse.com and heyhockeyverse@gmail.com. .com.
I know how to spell Michael. Not
Wow.
many can, you know. A lot of get the
There
A
are-
and the E mixed up.
They go back and forth.
Our friends at Great Lakes Brewery, they're at Great Lakes Beer. Palma Pasta is at Palma Pasta. Recycle My Electronics are at EPRA_Canada. And Ridley Funeral Home are at Ridley FH. I recorded a fresh episode of Life's Undertaking with Brad Jones yesterday, and it was awesome. We played the sound of a 1972 Volkswagen camper van, and it brought back a whole bunch of spring memories for Brad. This was a really special episode. Go listen to Brad and I on Life's Undertaking. Life's Undertaking. When I say it, Life's Undertaking. Yes, it's called Life's Undertaking. I'm stroking out over here. Call the police. See you all next week.